I don't say product management is dead because of doom and gloom. I say it's dead because I think you're going to be in a world of pain if you're not prepared for a shift in the next 18 months. I know lots of startups that have gone many, many years before hiring their first PM and kind of don't want to hire many. If you look at something like Devin, it is a language-based interface. You are telling a system what to do. Your ability to clearly articulate what to do in a way that a system can appropriately interpret it, access its set of tools, and get the job done correctly is actually a really important skill. I tell all my engineering managers when they use Devin, I say, congratulations, I just gave you 10 interns. I would screenshot this. This looks great. Write me a PRD I can send to my engineering team. Boom.
Nice, it worked.
It's there.
Okay, welcome everyone. My guest today is the one and only Claire Vo. Claire is the Chief Product Officer of LaunchDarkly, founder of ChatPRD, and also host of the brand new How I AI podcast. So no product leader uses AI as much as Claire. So I'm really excited to get a demo of her favorite AI workflows and discuss how AI will change product management forever. Welcome, Claire.
Oh, thanks for having me. I'm really excited to be here.
Yeah. So I think you're like the first person that I actually interviewed. So it's great to have you back.
Oh, good. So we're back at it.
So maybe we can get right into it. Like maybe you can show us how you build new products with AI.
Sure, let's do it.
Yeah.
Okay, we're doing the reverse how I AI move here, and I'm going to show you how I AI. So I'm going to share my screen. I'll just walk you through how I think about building products and how we might build something, actually how we do build things at ChatPRD. So this is ChatPRD, AI Copilot for product managers, and it helps you write and draft product documents and do other product work more efficiently and with better quality. And, you know, one of the features of ChatPRD is that there's a chat and then there's a document mode. And the way we tune and improve the core experience is very similar to a ChatGPT. We have, you know, little user ratings here. And so when somebody chats with ChatPRD and has, you know, a good response, either from a document or message perspective, they hit the thumbs up, thumbs down button. We actually run a lot of A/B tests and experiments on different models, different prompts, different configurations. It helps us figure out how to build these great experiences. And one of the things that I do is when you hit me with a thumbs down, I ask specifically what we could improve. So these are some common, you know, feedback that we get from users. It's too long, it's too short, it's inaccurate. And so we built this modal every time you hit the thumbs down button to say what we can improve. Now I have a problem, which is actually ChatPRD gets a lot of thumbs up. And I actually don't know what people like. So when you hit a heart or a thumbs up, I just say thank you. I don't bother you. And all I know is that you liked it. I don't know what you liked about it or how you liked it. So I am going to actually build a PRD for, you know, thumbs up, and then show you how we might flow that into a prototyping tool or to Devin to actually build this feature. So
Great.
what I would typically do, you know, I'm a lazy PM, so I would screenshot this, and I would probably, because I'm a PM, I'm always in Slack. So I would go in Slack and I would actually ask ChatPRD in Slack because I don't like to change models. And I say, hey, help me build a PRD for receiving positive feedback, comments, and reasons for when people like a ChatPRD chat response. We do this for negative feedback, but I want to do it for positive feedback as well. Okay, so I would like ask, it's not super detailed, but I would ask ChatPRD as sort of like my in Slack product manager to just write me a PRD for this. And it'll go off, it'll think through all it knows about ChatPRD. It'll probably force me to be a better product manager here by saying, Claire, this is just an idea. We don't have a why. We don't have a business reason. Why should we build this? So it's going to ask me, here are some sections I might improve. Context, what's the problem? Statement, which is actually right. I have an imbalance in understanding user satisfaction, seamless integration into current workflow, et cetera, et cetera. I think this looks fine. We're a small team. I don't need to go into it too much detail. So I'm going to say, this looks great. Write me a PRD I can send to my engineering team. Spoiler alert, my engineering team is AI.
It's AI too. Yeah. Yeah.
And this is one of the prompting tricks I do in a lot of how I use AI is I give it the context of what kind of team member it's going to go to next, even if that team member is an AI. So I often say, like, this is great, write me a PRD so I can send it to design. That's the PRDs that I would build to send something to like V0. Sometimes if I'm going to send it straight to Devin, I'm going to say, this looks great, write me a PRD I can send to my engineering team. And what I found is that it will tune the content of the document to what they anticipate that sort of persona might.
This episode is brought to you by Vanta. Whether you're a startup founder navigating your first audit or a seasoned security professional scaling your GRC program, proving your commitment to security has never been more critical or more complex. That's where Vanta comes in. Businesses use Vanta to build trust by automating compliance for in-demand frameworks like SOC 2, ISO 27001, HIPAA, and more. And with automation and AI throughout the platform, you can proactively manage vendor risk and complete security questionnaires up to 5 times faster, getting valuable time back. Vanta not only saves you time, it also saves you money. A new IDC white paper found that Vanta customers achieve $535,000 per year in benefits, and the platform pays for itself in just 3 months. Go to vanta.com/Peter to meet with a Vanta expert about your business needs. That's vanta.com/Peter.
So it's going to go write the doc. It takes a little long to write the docs because we're not upgraded to GPT 4.1, and it's just a real yapper. People love it. Product managers like to write, but it takes a little bit longer time. So what I would do is I'm going to wait for this to be written. It'll come back and link me to the doc. What I would decide is if I need to send this to a prototyping tool. And because the modal already exists in my code base, because I already have sort of a component that I can reuse, I'm probably going to skip the prototyping step because it's like an unnecessary step in the workflow. Instead, what I'm very likely to do is take this PRD, export it. I'll show you how I do that, and then send it directly to Devin, who can actually write the code for me. Okay, now it's writing the PRD here.
Okay, so you use V0 for prototyping, and you don't actually use Cursor or Windsurf. You just go to Devin for code
for
moving?
something like this. Yeah. So don't tell my friend. I love Cursor. I've tried a lot of Windsurf, but actually since Devin has really improved over the past couple months and Claude Code came out, I have dropped my Cursor usage by like 70% or so. I still start fresh projects in Cursor, sometimes things that I just want to explore or build myself or have an opinionated view on how to build. But I would say 7 out of 10 times I'm going to Devin to start a PR for me.
Wow.
It's for me, it's less about the technical capability of the code gen, and it's actually more about the user experience. So, this, I'm very busy, ladies busy. And so I can't be synchronously working in an IDE all the time. I'm actually not at my computer all the time. So yesterday morning, I went for a early morning walk. I'm not at my computer. I got like a ping from our support that there was a bug. I can't pull up an IDE on my phone. I can't log into even though it was a simple bug to fix. And so I can't mention Devin and say, go fix this bug for me. And it happens elsewhere. And so it's really less about the quality of the code, although I think the quality code is sufficient for most of the use cases. It really is about the synchronous, asynchronous nature of how I can interact with the tool. Okay. So I had this lovely PRD. I'm sure it's very, very compelling. Yes. I want to quickly indicate I liked a response. I want to specify what I liked. I want to skip adding a comment if I'm busy, but still give feedback. That's pretty much it. So what I would do here is actually export this as Markdown. Our AI loves Markdown. So now I have a
That's great. Yeah.
Markdown file, and I would actually go into my very long Devin thread. You can see what I've been working on. And I would say, Devin, I want to capture positive feedback commentary the same way we capture negative feedback commentary. I'm going to pull up, I have cursor. So this is the actual code for the negative feedback. So I'll say we already have a component called shared feedback modal. We can use the same component for positive feedback as well. Love, like. And what else would I say here? You can make up the positive feedback categories. I don't want to think about that.
Yeah.
Review the attached PRD for other context. So I would attach this PRD and send it off. And then what
And
Devin, yep, go ahead.
it has so you can read that component in your code, right?
Yeah, it has access to my repo.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah. So Devin's very friendly. He wakes up. And then what's really interesting about the interface here for the product designers out there is it takes time. You saw my ChatPRD. It takes a time to get a response. And, you want to know that your message is acknowledged. You want to know it's thinking. It's kind of like waiting for a colleague where you're like, are you there? Do you have 5 minutes? And
Mhm.
so you'll see here that pretty quickly it will come back with a plan and say, hey, here's my plan for implementing this. And then it'll ask if I want to wait to confirm the plan or if it can just YOLO go straight out. And then once it continues, it will go ahead and build and issue the PR. So we'll wait for that to happen.
Wow. Okay.
It's pretty cool. Let's see. And I'll pull up. There we go. Okay. So we can see here Devin's working on a plan. I can say, wait for my approval. I don't want to wait for approval. So it can just go and it'll actually build the plan. And what it's doing behind the scenes is it's looking in the repo for the right project. It's finding the code. It's designing a plan. And then it's going to go ahead and make the experience. And what's really interesting here is I'll pull it over. I can also follow along here in the Devin console. So
Okay.
it's making this plan. You can see it opened up the PRD and is looking through it. So you can see it's working like an engineer would, right? It's like, okay, great. I'm going to look at the PRD and make sure I understand what it's achieving here. I'm going to go ahead and search the code base for that component that it referenced, all that kind of stuff, which I think is really, really neat. But I prefer to stay in Slack because I'm product manager. I don't know. I'm in Slack. I'm on my
Yeah.
phone all the time. So all this stuff is happening behind the scenes while I'm just sitting here waiting for Slack to happen, doing a fun podcast with my friend Peter. So
That's
so
great.
it
Yeah.
should come back, and what it will say is basically, I've done the work, or I have a question, and it'll issue a PR with the code change, and then I'll show you how I kind of go through the code change process.
Do you actually review the PR or?
Of course I
Yeah.
review the PR. I mean, you're required to review the PR and have an approval in our code base. We don't deploy anything without review, including
Okay.
AI stuff. So we enforce approvals. So it has to have an approval. So once we get the PR, I'll show you how I do the code review. That's where cursor maybe sometimes comes into play. And then I ship it.
And let me while we wait, let me ask you. Like, I noticed your Slack channel is only like a bunch of apps and bots. Like, do you have like real humans working for it?
I do. I actually close them out so you wouldn't be distracted
Okay. Okay.
by the real humans. So
Yeah.
for ChatPRD, I still by far ship the most code. If you haven't guessed, we have one and a half, sort of like one full time, one part time, engineer global that works with me on ChatPRD. And then I have a part-time growth person, although she's on leave right now. She just had a baby. And then I have a friend that's doing fractional enterprise sales for me.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Let me ask you this. Like, I think a lot of PMs want to, build something on the side, have a side
Mhm.
hustle. Like, how do you find these people to help you?
Oh, how do I find people to help me?
Yeah.
So I actually found them all different ways, which is kind of fun. So the engineers, I use a service called TopTall. I used
Hmm.
TopTall when I ran my last startup about 10 years ago, had a really, really great experience. So it allows you to hire engineering talent globally. And I would say from product perspective, I think their onboarding is pretty amazing. I hired these engineers July 4th last year. Maybe you can empathize with this because
Yeah.
it was like July 4th weekend. I was with my kids in Santa Cruz and I was like coding because we had this major bump in users and there was all this stuff I had to handle. And it was the holiday and I needed to spend time with my kids. I was like, what am I doing? This is bonkers. This product
Yeah.
is profitable. Claire, you're allowed to hire people. And so I submitted sort of a request for engineers that were comfortable in our stack. Same day had interviews and next day hired them, and they've been working with me for about a year. So I hired engineers through sort of a talent connection marketplace.
Hmm.
The growth person that I work with, Elisa, you may have seen her on our YouTube. Elisa made a YouTube video about ChatPRD
Oh,
about
okay.
a
Yeah.
year ago, and somebody
Hmm.
sent it to me. It was like, somebody made this amazing YouTube video about how great ChatPRD is. And so I just emailed her and thanked her for making the video. It was very, very good and very nice. And she said, well, if there's anything you ever need, let me know. And I said, yes, can you teach me how to be a YouTube influencer and help me with some of my marketing? And so she's been helping with our newsletters, our social and growth, and our video marketing ever since. So that was sort
That's
of an
amazing.
organic user. And then my buddy Travis and I used to work together at Optimizely. He ran sales, I ran product. And I grabbed coffee with him and I said, dude, I think we can get this thing to like 1 million in ARR
Yeah.
with just us. And he found that very interesting, an interesting problem to solve. And I said, I have too much enterprise inbound to manage. I can't do it during the day. I have work to do. And so he helps manage my customer relationships, including enterprise prospects and onboardings and all that kind of stuff.
Wow. Yeah, I love the Elisa example in particular because like she just made a video and kind of like
Yep.
didn't ask for any permission and then you found her just through proof of work.
I didn't, ask for permission asking her to do stuff. And, I get a lot of people reaching out and saying, if there's anything I can do with ChatPRD, I'd love to be involved. Two things that I think Elisa did differently is she gave me very specific things she could do for me. Like it was very obvious the particular value she would bring to the product. Not like, if you think of something, let me know. It was like,
Yeah.
this is what I can do for you. And two, I only hire people that I'm going to pay. Like I'm not going to hire unpaid interns. I don't do volunteers. Like I only hire people that I'm going to pay. And so I want those people to be incredibly high leverage in the business and they have to be able to add something I don't have. And I certainly think Elisa does that.
Okay. Awesome. All right. Let's go back to the Slack. It looks like it did something.
Yeah, so it made this nice little plan here. Let's look at it. Um, so it's like a 14-step plan. Very good. I would have just YOLO'd in the code. So it's going to create a new branch, update positive feedback options. I like these. It was clear, actionable, concise, relevant examples, good tone. So it gives me a good sense of why somebody would like something. It's going to modify to have a positive or negative feedback type. That's smart, extensible, works for my use cases. Don't have to create a new component. And then it's going to update it to accept the rating parameter, go make sure it's updated everywhere and test it and push a PR. So I think it's going to do that in a couple minutes. We'll get, hey, Claire, you have a PR waiting notification.
Then you can just like test it locally, and then you can merge it,
And
right?
then I
Is
can
that?
just test it locally and merge
Yeah.
it. I do look at the code. So one of the things that I definitely do is I pull up the PR locally, I run it locally, I test it locally, and I actually do look at the code to see if things make sense. I
Okay.
would say with Devin, I get 80% hit rate on good quality, nailed the product requirements, and does it the way I would do it in
Mhm.
terms of extensibility. But occasionally it does something that is incorrect. And so I sort of have to give it feedback in the PR, or, probably one time out of 10, I just trash the branch and move on with my life. Oh, and
That's
it's
awesome.
pushing the PR right now, I think.
Okay, so maybe we'll check it in a couple of minutes, see
Yep.
what comes up with.
Great.
Um, so let me ask you while we're waiting. So like, the reality is like a lot of PMs still have to make a bunch of internal documents like strategy and like this kind of stuff, right? Like they're
Mhm.
not like, as much as we all want to just prototype all day, like
Yep.
that's not the reality of the job
Yep.
right now. So I'm also curious how you like work on like something, like I don't know. I feel like PMs think like product strategy is like this like holier than thou thing. Like I have to go to a room and think about it for 2 hours,
Yep.
but like that's not how you would do it with AI, right? Like how do you do it with AI? How do you come up with a product strategy or like a plan?
Yeah, so I really think about product strategy as market strategy at the end of the day. I'm trying to think about how we build something and solve customer problems in a way that has a unique market competitive, like a unique market advantage,
Mhm.
that's margin accretive, that compounds on the platform that we've built. And our team has the technical ability to execute. And so I think product strategy is a set of actions you take given a unique understanding of your market and customer. And
That's right.
it's really how I define product management. And so what I'm using AI for is not necessarily to write down the things to do, but to make sure that I have a very strong understanding of what that market context is, what our unique technical differentiators are,
Mhm.
what might be coming. And so, one of the additions to product strategy building that I've found very useful is deep research, because it has access to such up to date, rich information that would be difficult to aggregate, or time consuming to aggregate at an individual level. Really allows me to have a much more broad and deep view of the market. So a good
Yeah.
example of this is at LaunchDarkly. I think there's just been a lot of market consolidation in the product, in the feature experiment or feature management and experimentation space.
Mhm.
I think we have a lot of adjacencies that we're going into. We've done 2 acquisitions just this year. We're expanding multi-product. And so as we expand our platform and portfolio, our portfolio of competitors and partners also expand. And then there are a bunch of macro forces at play that could change how we might want to think about our product strategy.
Yeah.
And it's hard to keep track of every competitor, what they're building, what those features might indicate about their overall strategy, who they're hiring, why they're hiring them, all that kind of stuff. It takes time, and it's easy to have a very shallow view of the market when you have to do that research yourself. And so, one of the things that I find myself doing quite frequently is really looking at the market and taking a step back and saying, okay, if we looked at these 3 competitors over the last 3 months, what are they shipping? Who are they hiring? What does that
Mhm.
indicate about their product strategy? How does that relate to our stated product strategy, which is X, Y, and Z, and this is what we're building? What potential threats might emerge that we're not addressing in our strategy? And where should we lean in harder that could create an edge for us? And just being able to aggregate that information into a single place and really apply some critical thinking to
Yeah.
that context allows, I think, not necessarily for more interesting product ideas, any of that. It actually allows you to identify like higher leverage points in your business that you should invest in, or places where you might want to divest from because the market just doesn't have the pull there.
So you first like maybe use ChatGPT deep research to research the
Hmm.
competitors and what they're doing, and then
Yep.
do you give it context of your like old product strategy or like
Yeah.
context of yeah of
Yeah.
launch darkly, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, I think the key thing here is like it's kind of like a collaboration with the AI, right? Like
Yeah.
I don't do well just like thinking in my room for 2 hours by myself. Like I need to talk to someone.
Well, and I think it's one
Yeah,
of the really it's one of the really interesting design benefits of these agentic experiences like what you see with Devin, like what you saw with ChatPRD is especially in a distributed or remote world, synchronous collaboration feels very expensive. You have to hop into a meeting, you have to make sure that everybody that you want to talk to is available. And because you have this kind of limitations of space and time, you actually drag out collaboration and it takes longer to get stuff done because people just simply aren't available.
that's right.
And it makes, great, rise of the super IC, I can do it all myself, but it's very lonely, right? You're sitting there and you're like, I probably could write a pretty good product strategy by myself, but it's sure as heck not very fun to do
Hmm.
that. And so even this kind of stuff where on the weekend, our engineers are off on the weekend, but I'm working with something, but want somebody to collaborate with and partner with. Okay, well, at least I have good old Devin here to hang with and get some stuff done or give me feedback when I need it. And so I think that's a really kind of interesting design attribute of some of these agents
Yeah.
that might make them, might make organizations drive adoption.
I mean, you probably talk to the stuff as much as you talk to your coworkers, right? Like on Slack.
I mean, I
Yeah,
talk to I talk to this stuff way more than I talk to the ChatPRD coworkers. That's for sure.
yeah, yeah.
Okay, I've got a PR. Look at
Okay.
this thing. Okay, so I have positive feedback categories and support for love and like rating. So Devin has issued a PR here. What I really like is the PR description is very nice.
Hmm.
It's not a thing engineers love to write in a lot of detail, but it's
Yeah, it's
very
beautiful. Yeah.
nice. It's very good. How it's tested. Okay, so what I would typically do is one, I would look at the code.
Mhm.
So I would say I'm just reading through. Okay, selected rating. If it's bad, it's a negative rating. Otherwise, if it's not bad, it's positive. That's correct. I would read through, show, oh, there's not, they got rid of the um, the timeout, which is fine because we don't need to show the little confirmation message. It updated my analytics tracking, which is nice. I didn't explicitly ask it to do it, but it updated my analytics tracking to accommodate for the
Yeah,
new
that's awesome.
thing. So a good citizen. I don't know if you've had this experience, but engineers will sometimes write the code and then you have to fire like another Jira ticket for the tracking.
The
You're
tracking
like,
is always like an afterthought. Yeah, you got it.
always an afterthought. So that's
Yeah.
good. And then this feedback modal, what is it doing? Okay, so it's adding a new feedback type here. And then it's going to say, what did you like versus what did you not like? It gave me the feedback options. Okay, so like code generally looks pretty good. So then I'm going to pull this branch locally. Let's just do this and local host. Let's see. It's always thrilling to do this live. Okay, so I'm going to pull up my local host. I'm going to go to a chat and we're just going to smash that heart button and see what comes up. Okay. Boom.
Nice. It worked.
It's there. Clear
Yeah.
explanation, actionable advice, concise, helpful. I loved it. Submit feedback. So that worked. And I mean, you and I had recorded a whole podcast while doing this. So then what I would do next is make sure my checks have passed. They have. I would approve the PR and then it would be ready to merge.
That's
And that's
amazing.
it.
I've been sleeping on Devin. I need to try it.
You've been
Yeah.
sleeping on Devin. I'm like
Yeah.
Devin's reply guy at this, at this
Yeah.
point. But you can see that. And what's nice for me, just the shape of how I do things, is I really can't sit and babysit an IDE.
Yeah.
I just can't do it. And so it's just when I have features well scoped, well understood, it gets it done. And I actually wouldn't be sitting here waiting for it to work. I would be going off doing something else, and then it would send me the Slack that it's ready.
Mhm.
So the sense of waiting and time is just it's compressed.
Yeah, I mean, like I tried Vibe on your cursor and windsurfing. Yeah, you have to sit there and like wait for it to respond, and
Yeah.
like it's like way more step by step than what we did here. Okay, so let's kind of like switch gears a little bit. Let's talk about. I'm curious how you balance everything. Like as someone who's trying to balance stuff, how do you balance the CPO stuff with like ChatPRD and the new podcast? Is it just like doing more things async or
People really don't like to hear it. I work all the time. Like
yeah?
I get up at today I got up like 5:30 in the morning.
Mhm.
I check in on the support queue from Europe. I reply to a bunch of support stuff on my phone. I send a note to the engineering team, who's usually about halfway through their day, earlier morning on ChatPRD, just making sure that I'm not blocking anything and that I can do PR review if they need it. My
Yeah.
kids get up at like 6:15. My husband's amazing. He does lunches and breakfast. I do getting the kids dressed and drop off.
Mhm.
One of us gets a workout in, and then I'm straight into LaunchDarkly work. So then I work a very serious job and spend a lot of time on LaunchDarkly. And then after school, I pick up the kids most days. Sometimes my husband gets the kids. We come home, we do like homework. We all do our homework. So my kids do their homework, and then I do my homework.
Okay. Okay. Yeah.
Whether that's like LaunchDarkly homework, podcast homework, chat PRD homework. We hang out and read books and do bath time and family time, until 8 or 9.
Mhm.
I watch like 1.5 episodes of television, and then I'm asleep between 9:30 and 9:45 to just like do it all again. And then I work on the weekends. Like I really do work on the weekends.
Yeah.
So I have two jobs on the weekends. One is carting my kids around to sports and hanging out with them and making sure that they have fun. And the other is I catch up on a lot of chat PRD stuff. And I do have help. So on chat PRD, I have these two engineers. So I've hired, because the business
Mhm.
is profitable. I'm able to hire. So that's certainly helped. So I have a whole team that sort of works the business day for me. So I can step away from stuff during the business day. And then podcast is a new thing, so it's a little bit more time intensive
Yeah.
right now, but I've got a bunch of stuff queued up, and hopefully it'll become more steady state moving forward. But it's super hard. I've got a great partner, so that helps. I like to work, so that helps.
When are you gonna hire a husband to help you with all this stuff? Are you gonna?
Oh, I mean, he's my partner in all things. We have founded, I don't know, 6 startups together. So
Oh wow. Okay.
he's behind the scenes. He's G&A for Chat Purity,
Got it. Got it. Yeah.
taxes, legal, admin.
Yeah. I'm trying to get my wife to do all my finances and like do stuff. Don't want
Yeah.
to do it.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
mean, I have a accountant. In some sense, I have to invest in the business and invest in my own scalability. And we have house help too. Like I have somebody that picks up the kids 2 times a week.
Yeah.
Uh, but honestly, the thing that I spend the most time on is my kids when they're when they can. I love dropping them off to school. We spend a lot of time together in the mornings. I try to pick them up from school every day.
Yeah.
We hang out together, and so it's just you got a lot of hours in the week. I just don't do much of anything else other than family and this and like
Yeah.
exercise.
I mean, I interviewed Sahil who said like something very true, which is like when like our most busy professional time is also when our kids need us the most. So
Totally.
you kind of have to remind yourself to take a step back
Yeah,
sometimes. Yeah.
and I think for me, like I had working parents, and every time I feel like I'm working a lot, one of the things to do is write down why it's great for my kids to see how much I love what I'm building, and I built something
That's right.
myself, and I'm having fun, and I have interests, and I vibe code with my 7-year old, and my 5-year old keeps me really humble. So I think it's good to have a parent who really loves what they do, and
Yeah.
inspires you to lean into your passions. And I hope knock on wood. I mean, I ask my kids, I say I have too many jobs, and they all say, but your number one job is being our mom. So they know my priorities are straight, and that's all that matters.
Yeah. And like, yeah, I work the weekends too. I don't mind it because it's like you're building something great,
Yeah.
right? Like it's
Yeah.
something fun. So
Yeah, totally.
yeah. Um, so then let's talk about like product management a little bit. I think you had a famous presentation saying product management is dead.
Yeah.
I think it's more like traditional product management is dead, right? Or is dying, right? Is that fair to say?
Maybe. Maybe.
Maybe.
I mean,
Yeah.
let's see. Let's play it forward and see. It
Yeah.
certainly hasn't died yet in terms of like, I'm still hiring a product manager. Great.
Yeah.
At LaunchDarkly, we just hired a bunch of product managers. I just think the expectations are really going to change in the role.
Mhm.
I think the tools and the hard skills you're going to need are going to change in the role. And I know lots of startups that have gone many, many years before hiring their first PM and kind of don't want to hire many. And so,
Yeah.
it's hard to say how existing companies and teams will shift in the short and midterm. I'm actually really curious about how new teams start to form and what the sort of like new persona of a building team will look like, and whether or not what we call a product manager has any role on that team.
I mean, it's happening already, right? Like I think the designer is becoming like a design engineer,
Totally.
and then maybe there's like someone who's like more back end focused who knows product too. Maybe that's
Yeah,
how you
I
need.
mean, at LaunchDarkly, we have this product called AI Configs, and lucky team, I love this product so much that I'm PMing it right
Yeah.
now. And so I'm sort of the named product lead for this product. Guess what? I have an executive job. I have lots of other things to work on. So they get like a partial product manager. And what I'm seeing is our design lead, who's amazing, is writing PRDs. Our engineering manager, who's amazing, is writing PRDs. They're coming to me 80% formed. And I can
Mhm.
say, oh, actually, I think this needs to tweak, or this is how I measure it for the business, or let's not forget this part. But they don't need a full-time me to make that piece happen, at least in the short term. And so I do think people with the right hard skills and the right tools can step into the gap and make something happen for a team that's, flexible and adaptable.
Yeah, and I think maybe the optimistic view of this thing is like the job will hopefully become more fun. Like there's like a lot of parts of the job that's like not fun, right? Like
I think
I don't
so.
know, going through a lot of reviews or like or like just having a lot of meetings all day.
I totally think so.
Yeah.
And what's so funny to me is I don't say product management is dead because of doom and gloom. I say it's dead because one, I think you're going to be in a world of pain if you're not prepared for a shift in the next 18 months. Like, I just think not being prepared is the worst thing you can do for your career. And so, if I
Mhm.
can be a little bit incendiary on how I get you to prepare, I feel like I've done some good for folks' careers.
Yeah.
And two, a lot of the job is not fun. Like, a lot of the job is tedious. A lot of the job is not creative. A lot of the job is very disconnected from customer impact.
Mhm.
And so, if you can compress the parts of the job that are not high leverage, not interesting, you can spend a lot more time in the space I like to spend, which is in being creative and being generative, in building and collaborating with a team, and talking to customers. Those are in competing in the market. Those are the things that I think are fun about the role.
Yeah.
And I just want to spend more time on them.
Yeah. Same here. I think every PM wants to spend more time on this stuff.
Yeah. Yeah, totally.
Real quick, I'm curious. At LaunchDarkly, have you compressed the planning cycle of the pro roadmap, or like because a lot of times what takes away from this customer iteration stuff is like making OKRs and like
Oh my gosh.
planning.
You know me and my OKR memes.
Yeah.
Which one of us has not been victimized by an OKR? So this is how we do product planning. We do heavy-ish product planning about every 6 months. And so we
Okay.
set aside about 3 days to do product planning. It's really product strategy. And it starts with what are our business goals for the next 6 months.
Mhm.
And so it starts with what are we going to sell? How are we going to sell it? How is this going to accrue value to the business? What are our actual goals? Do we agree those goals are achievable and important? We spend a lot of time with that. And then we go into product strategy, and we define product strategy as a combination of what and why we're going to build things and how we're going to commercialize those and bring them to market. So it is a much more comprehensive view of planning. And then
Mhm.
we spend probably like less than 10% of the time on the actual roadmap items. Like the roadmap items cascade down, and do we believe that they're the right ones? But
Yeah,
really, we spend the time on the product and commercial strategic planning about every 6 months. And then between those times, it really is, I just think an always on roadmap is the best way to go. I know where to go inside the company to find everything every single team's working on.
mhm.
And we know from a technology perspective and from a business perspective, what are like the five most important things to achieve in any quarter. And
Yep.
we look at those on a regular basis. So we try to keep it really pretty simple. I along with the rest of my leadership team fight the good fight on like dumping a bunch of time into planning meetings and actually spend more time on tracking, are we getting stuff done, and being more reactive in the moment when we need to address something.
Makes sense. And it sounds like you have the planning pretty compressed. So it's like intensive 3 days, but like it
Yeah.
doesn't drag on too far beyond that.
It probably takes teams, 2 weeks to prep for it. They're not prepping for it full time, but they do have to get together with the team, make sure technical initiatives are accounted for, all that kind of stuff.
Okay, great. So when I hear you gotta get ready for like this new era, like a lot of the advice is just like, hey, you gotta go play with these AI tools and you gotta get your hands dirty, right? But like, and I think that's good advice. But like, how do you go beyond that? Like when you evaluate PMs, just AI
Yeah.
stuff, how do you what skills do you look for?
Yeah.
Yeah,
I mean, I just think, again, I think it's pretty short sighted to say vibe coding will be the differentiator, or like prototyping skills will be the differentiator, because that only takes you so far. So, what I really think about is how to cultivate attributes that future proof your career in this world of AI, not AI hard skills.
got
And
it.
so the attributes I think about cultivating are scrappiness. How do I get something done with very little? If I need to solve a problem and I have zero resources, how do I get that done? Can I prove I can get things done in a very lean environment? Perhaps using a set of tools, but perhaps not. I think scrappiness is one piece that I assess for.
Mhm.
The second thing I assess for is the ability to learn. So, again, you could show that you're capable of learning tools or capable of learning new skills. That's one way to demonstrate learning. You can also demonstrate that you're capable of learning the market or capable of learning finance, any of those things. But I really think that ability to learn at this moment is a really important attribute for getting stuff done. And then honestly, I think the ability to clearly communicate is so critical right now.
Yeah,
And this is where I think maybe like classic product managers have the edge. Us yappers have the edge, which is if you look at something like Devin, it is a language based interface. You are telling a system what to do. Your ability to clearly articulate what to do in a way that a system can appropriately interpret it, access its set of tools, and get the job done correctly is actually a really important skill. And so you can call that prompting, you can call that clear communication, but the ability to clearly articulate a set of outcomes and get a system, whether that system is human or otherwise, to do things, I think is very, very, very important. So those are
yeah.
some of the things that I look like from an attribute perspective, really like scrappiness, ability to learn, ability to communicate. You can demonstrate those through these skills, but if you have those kind of attributes, you'll be successful in kind of any role.
Yeah, that's a really good point. I think every time you're prompting, you're basically improving your written communication skills.
Yeah,
you know,
totally.
you kind of forced to. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Um, okay. And do you like evaluate like in like for promotions and stuff? Do you evaluate PM separate from design or like you talk about this AI powered triple threat? Do you try to like people who can
Yes.
blend roles together? Is that something you try to encourage?
Yeah, so we try to encourage it from a cultural perspective. So maybe the
Yeah.
fourth attribute I would throw on that list is low ego. Like you are
Yeah.
just not going to survive in new orgs if you get territorial. Like what a waste of effort and potential outcome for people to block progress based on being territorial. So, you know,
Mhm.
a designer that says no one but me can design this, or an engineer that says no one but an engineer can push code. I just think that mindset is very limiting in the face of what is pretty radical change. And so what we look for in promotions is, one, I think you do need AI fluency. And this is probably even more impactful in the engineering track. I run the engineering organization as well. Fluency with these tools matters. You need to figure out how to use AI powered IDEs. You need to figure out how it's appropriate to use something like Devin inside your organization. You didn't need to have an opinion on what models work for what. You need to have the ability to architect a repo to be
Yeah.
easier to use with these tools. All those things are hard skills that should be part of a promotion ladder or career path for software engineers. And you can imagine the parallel on the product management or design side. So I think there's like tool fluency
Mhm.
is one piece that's pretty important. And then it's just leverage, right? As you become more and more senior in a product role, the expectation is you have a higher impact on the business. And my expectation is that you use all the tools available to you to have that impact. And so we certainly do look at leverage, especially in senior promotions, of this individual is having a high impact on our business.
Yeah.
And they could do that a lot of different ways, but often they're leveraging all the tools available to them.
Yeah, it's kind of like a no-brainer. Like you basically have like an AI team help you. Why would you
Yeah.
not use this stuff?
Yeah, totally. I tell all
Yeah.
my engineering managers when they use Devin, I say congratulations, I just gave you 10 interns. Like no one no, no engineering manager turns their nose up at headcount. So I'm
Yeah.
trying to position it like congratulations, you got overnight headcount.
Is that your response when they ask for more like human headcount? You're like, okay, I'm gonna give you that.
So I do, when people ask for headcount, I say, is your team maximally efficient? Just like is your team maximally efficient?
Yeah.
Um, and have they experimented to know where they could get efficiencies? A lot of
Mhm.
times the answer is yes, and I have a good sense of that. And sometimes the answer is no, and then they need to spend some time getting there.
Okay, so last question and related to what we talk about, like how do you drive organization adoption of AI? Like a lot of this stuff is just limited based on like security or like people are a lot of companies can't even use all the tools that you want to.
I know,
Yeah.
it's so sad. Um, so I think a couple of things you need to do. You need to figure out the finance and security framework for your company to enable experimentation. So luckily
Okay.
we're a relatively small company with a good mature security team and program, and a good mature finance program. Finance is not a problem. I can make the case for high ROI of these tools all day and all night. ROI of the spend is not an issue. And then infosec, we just had to build a framework by which they could quickly evaluate thumbs up and thumbs down use of tools in a particular context to make sure that we were meeting our requirements and obligations to our customers, as well as internal security principles. Once we had that framework, we could move very fast in terms of onboarding tools. The other thing that you have to do from a cultural perspective is normalize AI tool use and give the happy path to adopting it. Because
Yeah.
otherwise, from a security perspective, you're stuck with a bunch of shadow IT where people like hide the fact that they're using AI tools. They do it on like personal accounts.
Yeah. Yeah.
They
Yeah.
do it on
That happens a lot.
uncontrolled licenses. And that is actually the worst situation from a security perspective. So you kind of have to accept, like, people are going to do this. So let's give them the clean path to do it and let's put it out in the open versus not. So that's sort of the admin side of things. I think the real needle mover, however, is cultural.
Mhm.
And so what we've done is we have at LaunchDarkly a Slack channel called Project Building with AI. And you have to request AI tool access in that channel. So everybody who has AI tool access is in the same channel, which is good.
Okay.
And then everybody shows off stuff that worked, stuff that didn't, stuff they tried, stuff they've learned in one single channel. It creates a lot of momentum. And so people will post their cursor wins, or people will post their Devin fails, or they'll post new prototyping tools. And so it gives socialization to a lot of use cases. And then in technology, we've named a single engineer, Zach. He's amazing. as sort of like the responsible party for AI engineering adoption.
Mhm.
And so what Zach does is he goes and evaluates tools for us. He makes sure that those tools are set up with our code base and our team to be built into our systems and processes, making recommendations on, for example, cursor rules or Devin environment setup. And then he runs, which he's running right now. I'm going to do it after this podcast. He runs a Friday AI Power Hour where it's like a Twitch stream of Zach using AI. So
Yeah.
he'll show off some stuff. He'll invite others to show off stuff, and we socialize it live as well.
And people show up for this?
Oh, I had like 60, 70 people every week.
Wow.
It's fun.
Yeah.
It's really fun.
Yeah. Um, any closing words of advice for folks, or any hot, like you're the queen of hot takes. Give me some give me some closing hot takes. Yeah.
I think this is the year of the agent. I know it's been said, but I think this is the year where you go from sort of like co-pilot single player experiences in AI to multiplayer agentic experiences that feel more like your colleague. Again, get good at it. Like, get good at working with agents. Figure out which ones are out there that add value. Figure out how you prompt them correctly. Figure out how you orchestrate them together. I think that's a hard skill that's going to really be important in the next year. And so,
Yeah.
I think this is the year where you get out of this like single player mode and you start getting your team of AI interns.
So when you mean let's define what agent is real quick. Like agent
Mhm.
is like someone who goes off and does work for you and collaborate with
Mhm.
other AI, right? Is that what it
Yep.
is? Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, it makes sense. Yeah, just like what you demonstrated with Devin. Like you don't have to
Yeah.
babysit it with prompts all the time. Like you just
No.
get to do stuff. Yeah.
Yep.
Cool. All right. Well, let's talk about where can people find the How I AI podcast?
So you can find How I AI. I recommend Spotify or YouTube because our guests get on and screen share their AI use cases. It's also available wherever you want to
Yeah.
get your podcasts, although I recommend the video aspects. And then you can find me on X at Clairvaux, or I might revive the TikTok. So the Chief Product Officer TikTok might be coming back.
Yeah, TikTok is perfect for your hot takes. You should definitely revive it. Yeah.
I can't take like a fifth or sixth job, and TikTok feels like a fifth or sixth job.
Yeah, true. Yeah. Cool. Well, thanks so much, Claire. This is another amazing conversation. I definitely learned a lot.
Oh, I really appreciate it. It was super fun.
Yeah.